Hello everybody, how are you? Well, today I'm going to give you some kind of explanation as regards speeches and public speaking in general. So first of all, you're going to see that in the booklet, let's go to the booklet, when you have the part of public speaking, we have different items related to the organization of a speech. We're going to go there in a few minutes. So in the first part, or at the beginning of your tasks, you have to do the activity proposed in the file Speech Tips for Any Occasion. So let's go there. Here you will find some vocabulary and words that are very useful for you to work with in your following speeches, like words like levity, impromptu, anecdotes, the ones that you have here, relevant. They are vocabulary, and also they are important because they are some kind of synonyms of other words that are common and not so high level. And also you can work with them using the opposites, the antonyms. You have there you have their synonyms and then antonyms. But by the end of the file, you have, well, these are your definitions. In a normal day class, I will ask you to provide your definitions and we will discuss, and we would perform or build up a collaborative definition. But well, this is not the case. So what I want you to pay attention is the idea of this interactive exercise, these questions. These questions are guiding questions, and they will help you to focus later on in how to organize another speech type of speech, that is the one that is called the persuasive speech. So if you didn't do this activity, later on it's going to be a problem for you. So I recommend that now you're dealing with this file, complete this file, because these questions are going to help you to organize the information, okay? So have them done. You have the keys already, so have them done. I cannot complete this because they will have your own version of your own consideration, okay? Well, sorry. Sorry. Communication, the key is, okay? So let's start working with a definition related to public speaking. So public speaking is the process of communicating information to an audience. Simple. So it's the process of communicating information to an audience. And this communication, or the way in which communicate the information to an audience, it's different. It's not the same. For example, you can work with a presentation, speeches, lectures, how-to speeches. That's another type of speech. You can work with many ways. So the process of communicating information to an audience can be different. When you teach, you are also providing information, and you're also working with public speaking. So the presenting a good speech, as you have here in the basics, presenting the good speech requires practice and knowledge. So practice means practice. Say a speech as many times as I know that I am sure that I know it, and I am convinced that the information there, it's information that I really manage. So the different items here, for example, you have the basis, tips for success, the selection of the topic and the audience adaptation, informative speaking, persuasive speaking, and commemorative speaking. We're going to care about this informative speaking and persuasive speaking, okay? Because those are the most useful for you as students, as future teachers. So dogs are crazy in my neighborhood. I don't know why. My grandmother used to say that when dogs barked a lot, or they hold to the moon, like ooh, like that, that meant that someone was going to be ill or die in the neighborhood. What do you think? Do you have any kind of knowledge as regards the crying of the dogs? I don't know. Well, so let's go back to the topic. So we're going to focus on informative and persuasive speaking, but there are, of course, commemorative speeches which are important. For example, graduation speeches or wedding. Well, here it's not something very common, but you know that in the States, the best man gives a speech, and well, that needs preparation too. There are courses for that too. Well, writing speeches, this is the most important part, because you have to focus on the organization and the outlining. And again, the transition. When I ask you in the task that you have on Padlet to work with the type of public speaking, and I said that don't answer the questions as question number 1, this, question number 2, that, and I ask you to make the transitions as if you were giving a speech, it's this. Because when you have to perform a speech, when you have to organize your speech, you're going to follow different steps. I don't know, you can have thesis of what you want to say and try to develop the thesis, but every thesis is connected to the other one, so the transition should be connected. The same happens with questions. If you answer questions to develop a speech, for example, I have to talk about the homeschooling. So I say, what are the benefits of homeschooling? What are the disadvantages of homeschooling? How is the mood, students' mood? How is teacher moods? So I can answer those questions, but I can also give some kind of formats to my answers in order to provide a speech as regards that, answering those questions, okay? So the part of delivering the speech is the one that I care the most. There are 4 common methods for delivering. So you have organized your speech, and then you have to see the organization is related to your decision as regards to deliverance. That is to say, for example, if you're going to work with extemporaneous speech, you need a lot of research, and that is the one we're going to work with in the task, in the exam that you will have later on. Okay, so the structure. This was the part that I want you to focus on. The structure in the speech. You have here what you have to provide in the introduction, and what you have to say in the introduction, and the body. In the body, the structure is the most important thing, because you can have a temporal speech, a structure in the speech, cause and effect, spatial or topical, compare or contrast. So that would depend on the topic. So as I said in the example, if you're going to talk about environmental problems, the most common thing, or the most common organization in your body, in the body of your speech, is the one cause and effect. Yes? Because you want to provide impact with information that you're going to provide. If the river is polluted in a way, or if the air, for example, imagine providing a speech about how, I don't know, in many places the environment has, or nature has improved a lot, and pollution is not so high since we are in quarantine. We have quarantine. So think, cause and effect is important there, because you have to provide an impact with the information. Cause and effect. Let's go to the temporal. The temporal, in which you have sequences, is more related to the narration of a story, like storytelling, or, for example, when you talk about historical dates, historical information. So here it says, the temporal organization groups information according to when it happened or will happen. Types of temporal patterns include chronological, in the sequence it occurred, so you say something from the beginning to the end, and reverse, when you talk about the result and then you tell how you got that result. from ending back to start. Inquiry order is one special mode of temporal organization. Here it says, useful in presenting some kind of research. Here you organize the body in accord with the unfolding processes of thinking and gathering data. That is, I will translate what it says here. You show in your speech how you got the information, how you made the research, okay? So, depending on the type of speech, you're going to work with temporal, cause and effect, and spatial. Pattern groups, when it says groups, it talks about information, okay? Pattern groups and organize your speech, but based on physical arrangement of its part. If a speech is describing a place, a physical object, or a process of movement. For example, here it says a plant cell or battlefield, or battle of Shiloh. Spatial patterns can be useful. So you describe it. That's the idea of description. You go from a very big place and then you go to the details of the place. You have the spatial form or pattern to describe a topic. You go for the general and then to the physical object. The topical, here it says, designs are appropriate when the subject matter has clear categories of divisions. For example, when you have divided your speech into different subtopics, the rule of three, for example. The compare and contrast is when you use when the topic of your speech provides you the information of in favor or against, for example, in debates. Okay, so the idea of the format of your body is related to this topic you're going to see, and of course the conclusion is very important. So the transition between the body, it's related in the conclusion to the conclusion, sorry. So you have to relate. If you are going to talk about cause and effect in your conclusion, you're going to provide the result. Okay, so let's go on. We're going to talk about extemporaneous delivery because the one that we're going to focus in our exam is the extemporaneous one. Okay, so here you have some clues that you have to follow. Remember this idea of oral discourse is often best when it uses the first person, I and we, in this, because you're going to make research. Well, the speech is memorized, but instead is concentrated on the main ideas. It's not memorized, sorry. Instead, it's concentrated on the main ideas. Me parecía raro. Each time a speaker practices and delivers the speech, wording comes out little differently. So you know your speech, but you can have any other, you can change a word because you can find and you can remember, but you have the ability because you know your topic, okay? Well, this activity, well, you have to read Don't Lose Your Place. That's the task that you have in Padlet. But this activity we're not going to do it because we're not together. So this one was for groups. It was meant to be done at class. Okay, so let's go with the introduction speech. For this, we'll have a video now, another video now. So the second part, please pay attention. I think it will be shorter, and I will explain how the task is going to be, okay? See you in some minutes.